Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Economically Speaking, the podcast where we break down complex economic and policy issues in a way that actually makes sense. I'm your host, Anthonia Origho, and today we're discussing a recent development in Nigeria's economic policy landscape, Executive Order 9. This order was issued by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and focuses primarily on how revenues from Nigeria's oil and gas sector are collected and remitted to the government. To understand why this matters, we need a little more context. Nigeria is a resource-dependent economy, meaning a significant portion of government revenues come from the oil sector. Institutions like NNPC Limited collect revenues through royalties, petroleum profit taxes, gas revenues, and production sharing agreements. Under the Nigerian Constitution, these revenues are supposed to go into the Federation account, which is then distributed among the federal, state, and local governments through the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, also known as FAC. However, over the years, there have been concerns about revenue leakages, deductions before remittance, and transparency issues, especially after reforms introduced by the Petroleum Industry Act. Executive Order 9 aims to address this by requiring oil and gas revenues to be remitted directly to the Federation account before any deductions are made. The idea is really simple. Nigeria should first receive its oil revenues fully and completely, and then decide how they are spent or shared. Supporters believe that this could increase transparency, strengthen fiscal discipline, and improve government revenue. However, critics argue that the order raises questions about institutional autonomy and regulatory consistency. So today we're asking an important question. What exactly does Executive Order 9 mean for Nigeria's economy and for Nigerians? To help us unpack this, I'm joined by our guest today. He is the immediate former Deputy Coordinator of NESA Lagos. He is the gentleman of Mr. Ajisomo Ayeni, or also known as Stephen, because he's my classmate. Stephen, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, I'm amazing. Thank you for having me here. How are you?
I'm great. We just resumed second semester. So tell me, how did your holiday go?
Before the holiday we had exams and projects to deal with, so it was kind of short because we need more time to rest, but I'm happy we're back for our last semester.
Yeah, last semester, that's the word, final semester. So how do you feel being in your final semester, final year? Tell me about it.
That's actually a good question. How do I feel? I'm happy that, I'm here. I'm happy that the people that I came with are the people that I'm going to live with by God's grace. And it's very, extraordinary seeing people around me grow up together, not just physically but also in intellect as well.
So tell me, what do you really love about economics? Like, what is something that you just feel like economics speaks to you that other courses or other courses simply don't?
Okay, I feel like the reason I love economics, and I think everybody should study economics, is it is important anywhere you go. There's nowhere you would go to that you're not important or you're not effective. And also, economics helps you be a critical thinker, not just about macro or micro policies, but in the day-to-day transactions that happen in your life. Economics helps you account for the long run and the short run.
Wow, okay, long run and short run. He's really an economist. So, who exactly is your favorite economist?
Very good question. I'd say Adam Smith.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's the founder, he's the pathfinder.
Okay, he's the leader. He's our father, our founding father.
Founding father.
Okay.
And the the current economic policies that we've come up with now wouldn't have been possible without him being creative enough to think that economics shouldn't be studied with other things. It should be separate in its own. He delineated it from, the other things that were being studied at the time.
Yeah, definitely. Like, wow, thank you. Okay, so let's get into the gist for today. For our listeners who may not really follow government policies closely, what exactly is Executive Order 9 and why was it introduced?
Wow. Executive Order 9 is a directive that states that all oil and gas revenues should be transferred straight into the Federation account before any deduction is made. Previously, agencies such as NNPC would make deductions such as operation costs or management costs before transferring into the central account, and this reduces transparency. On the back end, funds can be misappropriated, corruption can happen, and the government is unable to fully account for their revenue to make serious and critical decisions in our economy. This brings about the principal agent problem, where the government is expecting full revenue, right? But the agent has the power to influence how much the government gets.
Yeah.
And I think is the main essence of this order is for transparency and accountability.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. A major feature of this order is direct remittance of petroleum revenues to the Federation account. Why do you think this is considered such an important reform?
True. Like I said previously, the executive order states that all money should be transferred directly into the Federation accounts, which is what direct remittance means. Strictly speaking, we have transparency and accountability issues in the oil sector, and this direct remittance gives the government back their power to be able to influence, to be able to track, audit, and manage the finances properly.
Okay. So this order also affects how NNPC Limited manages deductions from oil revenues, in the sense that if NNPC Limited makes revenue of about let's say 5 billion naira, instead of previously they could have just remitted 4.5 billion and taken 500 million naira as their costs of operation or something like that. But now they would have to send the full 5 billion into their account, like they can't deduct their costs. How significant is this change for Nigeria's oil sector?
Well, I think and I believe that this executive order is going to change the financial structure of NNPC or any agency involved in the oil and gas sector. Because now they are transferring the money to the Federation account.
Yeah.
And because of this, the government has more power and more spending capacity. Right? So as such, the sector should increase or be profitable.
Yeah.
Right? But it shouldn't make any significant change.
Okay. So some analysts actually say that this order is mainly about fiscal transparency and accountability, which you actually have mentioned prior. Do you really agree with that assessment?
Yes, but I also think it's deeper than that, right?
Okay.
Nigeria is very oil abundant, right? But we suffer from what we economists like to call the resource curse problem. Right?
Yeah.
And basically what this means is that Nigeria has a lot of resources, but we don't benefit from them. Strictly speaking, with the oil sector, we have a lot of oil, but we don't benefit from it as we should. And this could be attributed to a number of reasons: corruption, inefficiency, poor management, lack of transparency and accountability, and so on and so forth. So I believe, yes, this executive order's main goal was for transparency, but that is also one of the ways we can address these other problems.
Okay, wow. Okay, before we get into the next question, actually, let's just take a detour and talk about other aspects of your life. I did my research and I found out that you're actually into music. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay, so tell us about that. How do you balance having like a musical career and being an economics student, and also talk about your time as the deputy coordinator. Like, tell us, how did that go?
Okay, starting from music, I'd been making music since 2022, and at first it was kind of like just a fun thing to do at the time. Then it wasn't later on to 2023, maybe towards December time. A friend of mine that actually influenced me to start doing music, called to check up on me and asked how's the music coming. I told him if that's like it's not important because I'm trying to chase my academics.
Yeah.
And he tells me that I should chase it seriously. Right, but balancing academics and music isn't hard. The main reason why I'm in school is for my academics, so that takes priority.
Yeah.
My free time, I do music or I go to the gym. So that is how I balance that. And being the immediate former deputy coordinator of NESA Lagos was a thrill experience. I was able to work with a bunch of creatives and a bunch of brilliant-minded students as well. And it's just such a shame that my tenure had to end. But I pray for that tenure and I pray that they're able to accomplish great things.
Wow, thank you so much. So back into why we're here. But I really wanted to talk more about government revenue. If implemented effectively, how could Executive Order 9 affect government revenue and public finance in Nigeria?
Well, because of the direct remittance imposed upon this executive order, this should reduce leakages because all the money is sent straight into the federation account.
Okay.
Right. And now with the reduced leakages, the government is able to fully account for their finances. They're able to track the money properly.
Yeah.
They're able to audit properly and able to manage properly. So it would increase money for the governments because they are getting more money in essence.
Okay. But on the flip side, don't you also think that it's kind of government gets more money, but what exactly do they use that money for? Just because the fact allocation is increasing, or the money that there is increasing, does it really mean that the states and local governments is going to get increased? And even when it gets increased, does it really mean that the state and local governments will use that extra money to do projects that us, the common man, actually need? Do you really think that's what's going to happen, or do you think this is just another way for the government to just increase its revenue base?
Well, I think if implemented properly, it could increase revenue and allow the government to invest more, but that doesn't necessarily mean this is what's going to happen. I think the transparency issues are on both ends, both on the government side and the agency side. Eventually the agency is the agent to the principal, the government, but the government is the agent to us, the citizens. We are the principal as well. So we also have a principal and agent problem with the government because we expect them to utilize the money properly, but it doesn't necessarily happen all the time. So the problem, or the way we can go around this, is ensuring that we, the citizens, can see how much is being collected in the revenue and see how that money is being spent. If we can see the accountability being taken by the government, then I believe, on the flip side, it would be good as well.
It also has to do with like bureaucracy, because it gets into the FAC account and it gets shared, but even from the state government, how does it cascade down till it reaches where it needs to go to? So that's also an issue that I think we have to talk about and just tackle.
True.
But I really enjoyed your insights on that.
True, because the government is, I wouldn't say inefficient, but bureaucratic processes can be slow.
Yeah.
Right, which is why we have the private sector for efficiency and quick processes. So now somebody might ask that once the agencies send all their money to the federation account, how do they get reimbursed on time for their operational costs, for costs, etc.? Because they do need to pay all these people their salaries or pay for anything immediately. They can't wait, for all the things, for all the bills to be passed. So that's also a problem as well. But if implemented properly, things like this should be addressed while the money is being transferred.
True. And from everything you have said, basically, I'm getting that fiscal efficiency, accountability, transparency are the major reasons or reasonings behind why this order was made. So I can see that it was made in good faith, just to increase transparency, make efficiency in the oil and gas sector, improve government revenue, and definitely improve the FAC allocations for the states and local governments. However, some critics argue that executive orders in themselves sometimes bypass legislative processes. So do you think this Executive Order 9 raises any constitutional or governance concerns?
Wow. Well, I believe, executive orders that are perceived to bypass legislative processes can be uncertain. And the main issue we should be concerned with is whether the order aligns with our current laws and our current policies, right?
Yeah.
If they do enforce our current laws and policies, then it's good. But if they're creating a new law, a new policy, that is when it becomes a problem.
An issue comes up. Okay. Thank you for that. Definitely, if it goes against the current laws, then that's when it is a problem. But if it follows or it actually supports the laws we have in place, then definitely it actually supports the constitution and doesn't go against it, right? So our final question for today is do you think this order affects investor confidence in Nigeria's oil and gas industry, especially for international companies? Because we know that foreign direct investment is a big sum of Nigeria's investment and a source of government revenue and spending, especially for industry. So let's talk about that.
I think yes, it affects investor confidence because investors love simple and predictable systems, right?
Yeah.
But if this order creates unpredictable changes in the system, investors will rather pull out and keep and save their investments rather than investing in high risk on certain systems. So the main issue is, does it keep the system simple and predictable, or does it make it uncertain?
Okay, but what do you think? Do you think it actually makes it simple and predictable?
Well, if properly implemented, I think it makes it simple because we're able to know how much is gotten from our oil revenue, and that's enough statistics to audit, to manage, and to predict what is going to happen.
Okay, so basically, since there's increased transparency, it should make investors more confident because they know this is what it is when they are investing. So that makes sense. Thank you so much. So as we've discussed today, Executive Order 9 highlights a broader issue in Nigeria's economy: how the country manages its natural resource wealth. For young Nigerians and policymakers, understanding these issues is important and critical because resource management directly affects economic development, government spending, and national prosperity. Thank you for joining us on Economically Speaking. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming here, spending your time. We are just really so grateful for having you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was nice to speak about things that are important in our day-to-day activities because this order affects our oil, and any change in oil trickles down to the layman on the road. People are wondering why food is more expensive. People are wondering why lights is more expensive, why things are going up, and oil is energy.
Yeah.
And you need energy for anything, for logistics, for your hair salon, you need lights. In your house, you need lights. The restaurants you buy your food, they need lights to cook as well. So, this is very important and everybody should take account of what it means for them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for giving us those insights because he's actually a petroleum and energy economist. He's actually offering that elective. So that's why he went on that little explanation. But yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. Really appreciate you. I just have to say thank you again. So if you enjoyed today's episode, share it with someone who wants to better understand Nigeria's economy. Until next time, stay curious and keep thinking economically. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Anthonia Origho, and do have a nice day.